speak about Steiner Education. I'm going to speak about it as a parent who has experienced Steiner Education through her child. My daughter was in kindergarten from September to June of last year, and also I attended the toddler group within the Steiner school with my son once a week during that time. Now, I first came in contact with Steiner Education, or first heard about it really, when I was on the Camino many years ago, and I bumped into and got talking to a French woman who was a Steiner teacher. And I spent the full day walking with her and kind of learning about it, and it seemed really interesting, and she seemed like a really interesting and very kind of a holistic type of a person, really interested in all, like every aspect of life and on a spiritual quest, I suppose, on the Camino. And then a few years later, I was studying education in Trinity College in Dublin, and in the library one day I came across a whole load of books on Rudolf Steiner and the kind of philosophy behind his education, and I started flicking through them and I found it really interesting. Unfortunately, I had to write an essay about something else, so I didn't get to study in detail the philosophy, but basically he was a philosopher during the last century, and he was very interested in education amongst many other topics, from architecture to biodynamic farming, and he wrote over 300 books, and there's a lot of information out there about his ideas on both online and in his books. And although I don't personally know that much about it, because honestly you could study it for a lifetime, what I do know is what it's like to be a parent of someone in the school and the community that's around it and kind of what's involved. So I'm going to just give a kind of an overview of, for me, what I learned this year as a parent of a child in Steiner School. So one of the main aspects, I suppose, as you walk into the school, you'll notice straight away, or I noticed straight away, that it's quite different to a regular school in that everything is very natural. All the materials and the objects around you within the school, around the child, are very natural. So from the wooden benches in the cloakrooms to the toys in the rooms, they're beautiful, like wooden animals and little toys made of felt or wool. The kids play with crystals and pine cones, natural, like silk materials. It's all natural and beautiful and nothing plastic. I suppose that's the main thing that I was greeted with when I walked in, because I went to a open day when I was researching, the different schools in the area, and then I was lucky enough to spend a full day in the school with my daughter towards the end of the year, as all parents of the kids there are invited to do so. And I really enjoyed that because it gave me kind of an idea of exactly what goes on a day-to-day basis. So then following that, there's something called the 3 R's that they kind of is within the philosophy of the Steiner Education, and they are rhythm, routine, and ritual. And I suppose the routine we're all used to already, especially in schools and the schedules and timetables. But the rhythm I found really interesting because it's a lot more subtle, and there are different rhythms. I suppose there's the daily rhythm, there's the weekly rhythm, and then there's the seasonal rhythm, and they all are kind of intermingled. And it's only really after having been experiencing it for the full year that I kind of understand it a little bit more. So just for example, the day that I went in, it was a Wednesday, but they don't call it Wednesday, they call that soup day, because each day is named after the meal that they have on that day. And so because it was soup day, the morning activity of the previous day was to chop the vegetables for the soup. So there's a lot of, I suppose, as you can imagine, fine motor skills involved in that chopping, whereas they don't do reading and writing in the kindergarten, which is from 3 to about 6.5 to 7 years, but they do a lot of fine motor skills and honing in on those skills. So the chopping is great, and my daughter is still so handy around the kitchen now at meal times because of it. And so I went in on a soup day, and we had a little activity in the morning, which was making the dough for the bread for the next day, which is bread day. And so each child gets a piece of dough to knead for the bread, and they end up making like little characters or just playing with the dough, which is great fun. So we did that first, and then there was the circle, and in the circle there are songs and dances and different movements and rhymes, and in both English and Irish, and it's a bit of fun. Like you're standing and there's a lot of repetition, and it's kind of almost like drama, like speech and drama, it reminded me of. And so then after the circle, the children go and put on their outdoor gear, which is like waterproof trousers, jackets, wellies, and then a hat, depending on the weather and the warmth. And then outside is basically just free play. The outdoor area is massive and just like a little children's wonderland. It's so beautiful and just diverse, from a huge sand pit in the middle with lots of little, utensils to use in the sand, to swings, to like a tire swing in one section, and then there are plenty of trees to climb, and there's a little tunnel at one point, and then there are little willow kind of hut things that the kids can play in as well. So there's plenty to fuel the imagination, and they can also play with water and water some of the plants and things like that as well. So it's very much nature oriented, and the rule there is there's no such thing as bad weather but bad clothing. So they go out rain, hail or shine, which is just so fantastic for the kids. For me, it's like the antidote to the digital age, and it's so important for children to be in nature. So after then being outdoors for an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the day and how the rhythm goes, they come inside. We came inside and we sat down for the meal. And that's where the kind of ritual comes in, where I saw coming in, is because we light a candle on each of the tables and say a little blessing and then begin to eat. Very simple, not religious. It's more like just a little thank you for the meal, and it's either done through Irish or a little kind of a song that my daughter loved to sing. We even do it at home now as well, and it's just a lovely little ritual to bring into everyday life, and the kids just love it. My son, who's 2, we did it the same thing in the toddler group when we'd have our snack, and it's just a really nice way to mark being together and to celebrate, eating together. So then after the meal, everyone helps to tidy up, and then there's like free play, and sometimes there's crafts, and usually the crafts are seasonal, as are the songs and the rhymes of the circle. And some of the seasonal crafts could be making Bridget's crosses out of wreaths, or painting eggs around Easter time, for example. And they do little sewing as well, which is great, again, for the fine motor skills. And then after that free play or crafts, then they have like resting time. Now, this is my daughter's favorite time of the day. She always talked to me about resting time, and I was really, really glad to experience it myself, because I can completely understand why she loves it so much. So basically they get out the sheepskin rugs, and there's one for every child, and they place them around in a circle on the ground, and each child lies down on a sheepskin rug just to relax. And it's really lovely. Sometimes one of the teachers will read a story. Sometimes they'll massage the hands or the feet of the teachers massaging the children, or the children massaging each other. It is just lovely. It's just such a kind of a peaceful way to end the day, and it's very nurturing, and it was really lovely. So that was basically just in one day, that was the kind of rhythm, and each day has a similar rhythm, even though different activities they do different activities. Let's say every Monday is painting in the morning, and every Friday is like cleaning all the toys, or like that. So that's the daily rhythm, and the weekly rhythm then goes as I said. And then the seasonal rhythm, I suppose, with bringing in the different songs and the different crafts and the different stories, and also then the festivals, which are kind of celebrating the Celtic as well as the Christian days or important days of the year, and which is really lovely. It's kind of nice that everything is included, and it's not religious but it's spiritual, and that really resonated with me as a yoga teacher and as someone who doesn't practice a particular religion. So Yeah, so that was kind of really what I learned from the full year, as well as many other things. I suppose the main things I took from it were that it's important, the objects and the materials that we surround our children with, and the more natural they are, the better. So I've slowly been replacing plastic toys with wooden or handmade toys, and I'll also then the ritual which we've brought into our home life a little bit, and then the outdoors and nature, which is such a huge part of the way that we live as a family. So it really has been a very nurturing experience, and one that I fully enjoyed, and I'm so grateful that we have got the opportunity to have this year in the Steiner Education. And I suppose it's good to know that the ECI scheme is covered within the Steiner school, so you will get 2 free preschool years from it, but after that then it's fee paying, and unfortunately the government doesn't support the school, which is a pity, you know, from primary level up. But yeah, so that's what we've learned. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. It's something I've been meaning to speak about for a while, because education is very important to me as a teacher and as a parent. And if you have any questions at all, please ask and I will try to answer. I am not an expert in Steiner Education. I haven't studied it, but as I say, this is just my experience having been a parent of a child in this school. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.